Hi, you guys, it's me. I'm Brittany Snow and I'm live. I've never been live before. Please bear with me because never in my life, not on Instagram, Facebook, MySpace, what have you, I've never been live before. So we're all in this together, and I hope that that we get to hang out. I have you guys right here on my phone, and hi, hello, Elizabeth and Annalise and Serena. Hi guys. Hi Lou. Thank you guys so much for coming. I know that you have a lot of things to do in your life, and you chose to hang out with me and talk about my new book, September Letters. It is coming out May 23rd, and it is pretty cool, but we don't have to get into that now. Let's just hang out, and you can ask me things and I can ask you things. Thanks so much about the book. Yeah, the book is, hi Laura and Elizabeth and Alex. Thank you guys for being here. You ever have like one of those days where you've just had so much coffee? I've been doing press all day and I had so much coffee and Celsius. I don't know if you guys drink Celsius, so I'm really excited. Okay, so here we go. Questions. Sabine asked, what inspired you to write this book? I've always known that September Letters was something near and dear to my heart because I wanted to give back in a way and make sure that my experience that I went through meant something or felt like it was valuable in some way. I remember going through some things when I was in my teenage years, and I felt like there had to be a reason for it, I guess, or maybe in a selfish way, I wanted it to matter. And so I wanted to make sure that I was utilizing those experiences and hopefully giving back so I could help someone else, because I felt pretty alone back when I was going through that sort of stuff. So I created September Letters so we can share our stories and feel connected to each other and realize that we're more alike than different. And the book, the September Letters book, is very much encapsulating that. It's a bunch of stories and letters and snippets and expert advice for people to share what they've been through and how they overcame it. If you had to give one piece of advice, what would it be and why? I think probably my biggest piece of advice right now would be that your thoughts are not always controlling you. You can create a new narrative and a new perspective. Something that I've really been able to do lately is self-soothe and self-talk to myself in a positive way that's a little bit more loving than I used to. I say some affirmations to myself saying, I've been through worse, or I'm gonna get through this now, and that feelings are just passing emotions and that I can ride them through. Hi Olivia. Hi Kissa. That's a cool name. Are you going on a book tour? I am kind of doing a book tour. There's a Los Angeles mini book tour, and then there is a New York little tour. We will be at the Barnes & Noble in Union Square in New York, and we will be at the Barnes & Noble at the Grove in Los Angeles. And there's a lot of information on our website about that and my Instagram, and I'm going to be signing books there. And there's going to be a meet and greet of sorts, and we get to hang out more there. Thank you, Augustine. I love the name of the book. How did you come up with it? So elegant. Thanks. I came up with September Letters because September is a really important month for me. 14 years ago, it was a month that I decided that I was not going to put anything before my mental health, and I was going to, whatever it took, really recalibrate and reshape my life. And so September to me always means hope. And so it's supposed to symbolize hopeful letters. And those letters can be anything that you think a letter might be: a post-it note, a journal entry, an email, anything that tells your story and connects you to someone else. Hi Olivia and Nicole and Ariel Is there something you were specifically excited to share in the book, Best Advice? We were really, really lucky to get a lot of beautiful experts to weigh in, and mental health experts specifically, to share their thoughts on grief and fear and pain. And they give a lot of tips and a lot of really useful information about how to kind of encapsulate a bunch of things that might work for you and put them in a tool book. Mental health is not one of those one-size-fits-all situations where I think so many people need different things. And so these experts really give you a wide variety of all the different ways that you can help yourself. And there's lots of stories from them on how they also helped their mental health, which I think is really cool. Because sometimes it's nice when people give you facts, but it's even more useful when they give you experience, how they got those facts. Hi, Samantha and Gracie and Donna and Jaden and Jeremy and Lindsay and Jess. Thank you guys for being here. Ivy asks, what was the hardest part of the book to write? Definitely the hardest part of the book was my letter, because I don't like, you can see this now, I'm like sweating. I don't really like talking about myself. I'm pretty shy, and I also have a lot of insecurities about harping on problems for too long. And I think that my story, although very useful, hopefully for someone to be able to know that they're not alone in a shared experience that we might have, I don't necessarily like to always focus on the negative. And so writing my story was a little bit hard because I didn't want it to be self-indulgent. But I do find that it's important to be vulnerable, and I think that's what helped me, is hearing people's stories when they were vulnerable. So if I'm going to talk the talk, then I need to walk the walk, and I need to be vulnerable as well. And so writing my own story was hard, and hopefully it will help someone else. Thank you, David and Cammie. How do you manage to keep a healthy, level head in Hollywood, of all places? Is it hard? Yeah, it's a little hard, but I would imagine that it's actually probably pretty similar to the world right now in terms of being under the age of 40 on social media. I don't necessarily know how anybody does it right now with the amount of comparisons that are out there, and how much validation we give to ourselves based on how we look and exterior things. I think that unfortunately Hollywood is sort of a place where that is a part of our occupation, and I think to counterbalance that, we have to do a lot of emotional work and therapy and, I don't know, reading books and podcasts and things like that to ground ourselves about what's really important, and not just what we look like or what we do. I think that's been a huge part of my healing, is knowing that I am just as valuable for who I am as for what I do. And I think that's important for everybody to learn, I hope. Donna asks, have you have trouble with self-criticism? How do you believe the positive affirmations you tell yourself without feeling silly? Well, that's a really good question, because a lot of the times I do feel really silly and I don't necessarily believe them. I think specifically at first when I'm trying to say something positive to myself, there is a little voice inside my head that says, well, you're full of shit. That's not true. But I've learned this really useful tool where whenever I say a negative thought to myself, I back it up with, well, maybe that's not true. So I can kind of talk to myself and say things to myself, basically saying like, well, if your negative thoughts come in your head, that might not be true either. So I try to believe the positive affirmations without feeling silly, and I say them so much and sometimes so often that they actually start bleeding into my psyche, and I can rewire my brain a little bit. I think you just have to keep doing them. Grateful lists are really important. I think putting emphasis and effort into looking at what's positive in your life and about yourself is so helpful, because there is so much to be grateful for everybody. What do you hope, treasure? What do you hope your readers take away from your book? I hope that people read the book and realize that they are not alone, that there is somebody who has gone through the same thing that you've gone through, and that we all have a story to share. And although we come from different places and different backgrounds, I think that every single one of us has an important story. And I think that there's always hope, and there's always a way to feel connected to somebody else. I know for me, there's been times where I didn't think there would be a way out, or I didn't really think that anybody would understand what I was going through. But when I made the effort to reach out and really connect with somebody else, there was always someone to listen and who knew exactly what I was going through. Oh, thanks. Daniele G. Kayla. Can't wait to read the book. We'll be in Manchester. Yes, we're doing international sales as well, so hopefully they will be everywhere. There's more information about that on our website and on our Instagram. Annalise asks, what has been your favorite part of the book writing process so far? Probably reading all of the letters that come in has been really humbling, and a great thing to be able to realize that there's so many people who have such a positive perspective on things they've gone through. It makes me kind of feel like, wow, I really need to do some more self-work on myself, because there's so many people who've gone through so much, and not necessarily worse, but things that I would regard as really challenging, and they are able to overcome it and have such a beautiful perspective. And it makes me appreciate what I have, and also how strong humans are. Kate asks, any new movie or TV shows coming up? Yeah, I have a movie that's coming out. It's going to Tribeca. It's called The Good Half. It's going to be premiering soon. I play Nick Jonas's sister, which is why my hair is brown, because we look so much alike. And it's actually about grief and cancer. Really fun, light topics all around. Aren't you guys glad that you came here? And it's a really beautiful movie, so I'm really excited for people to see that too. Hi, Teresa. What's up, girl? How did you and Jasper put your heads together to create the September Letters initiative? I feel like you know this question and answer, but I'll answer it anyway. Thank you. So I have been friends with Jasper for a really long time, and I told her the story about how this kind of magical full circle thing came to be. When I was a teenager, I had a lot of OCD tendencies, and I did a lot of things with numbers, and I was very anxious. And so I didn't know what was going on with me because I was 13 years old. So I was collecting fitness magazines, and I read in this one fitness magazine about this woman who had anxiety, body dysmorphia, depression, and eating disorder. And the way that she described the things that she did with her body and food were exactly what I did. And at 13, I didn't have any sort of wording for that. And so I carried around that article in my back pocket for a couple months as a symbol of hope. And then many years later, I shared my story with a magazine, and I wrote an article for that magazine. And I talked about how that article in the fitness magazine had really inspired me to become more connected to other people and know that I wasn't alone. So I came out with that story in a magazine, and I went to a coffee shop a couple of weeks after the article had come out, and there was a girl in the coffee shop holding my article that she had been carrying around in her back pocket. So it was this full circle moment. I cried, she cried. I don't even know if we drank coffee. It was very strange, and I knew that I had to do something with that idea. So I talked to Jasper Guest, my partner in September Letters, about how crazy of a story that was. And she told me that we needed to do something with that idea of paying it forward and that how your story might help the next person at a coffee shop. So that's how September Letters began, and that's how the book also came to be, is being able to encapsulate all those stories and put them in a one-stop shop, sort of chicken soup for the soul situation. That was a really long answer. Sorry guys, if you guys are still here. So the book is about, basically it's a culmination of a lot of different stories and letters, expert advice, post-it notes, tidbits from people around the world, talking about things that they have overcome or tools that they've used to be better and feel better in terms of their mental health. And we sort of believe at September Letters that everyone has a story, and if you share that story, that might just be the thing that gets the next person through their hardship. And so by reading someone else's words, you might just feel a little bit more connected to the community around you. It's meant to be a book that you just open up and you kind of flip to a page and you can kind of read something that might just get you through your day. I forgot to mention that you can buy the book. There's like a buy button on here, and I think that's what you press to buy it. That makes sense. And I think you can get it, and there's also autographed copies and book plates that I have signed, and I will be continuing to do so. Thank you guys so much for all these questions. I am hopefully I can get to these. How does the entertainment industry affect your mental health? That's a really good question. It definitely does. I think, like I was saying, I think this industry puts a lot of pressure on doing the next thing, being the next thing, going to the next place, and you're only as good as your last job. And there's this mentality when you go places here that what you're working on is more important than a conversation that you might be having with another human being. And I think because I'm a kid actor, I had to relearn a little bit about my validation coming from who I am as a person and not it coming from the validation that I would get from achieving something or doing something. So it's kind of counteracting that here because I'm in an industry where that's sometimes the opposite. But I think it's a really it's a driving force in my life to create a well-rounded life. So it's not just about what I do, and it's about who I am. That was cheesy. Will you sign the books that have been pre-ordered? Yes, there is so much, so many signed books and autographed copies, book plates that you can order to with our autographs in them. I don't know if that's cool or not to you. That's nice if you do think that's cool. Hayden asks, how do you encourage those around you to also focus on their mental health? Well, luckily I have a lot of beautiful friends who focus on their mental health just as much as I do, if not sometimes more. And I think that that's been a really helpful tool for me because I've created a community of people who lift each other up and do things for our emotional well-being and soul, and not necessarily just to have fun. Although your emotional well-being is fun, but I have some great friends that remind me of what really matters. And there's a lot of like sharing books and talking about podcasts and taking walks and things like that. I'm old now, so I do that sort of stuff. I used to go to like the clubs. Thank you guys so much, Eve and Lou and Laura. Alex, did any other books inspire you to write this? Any suggestions on what else to read? Yes, oh gosh, I am a self-help crazy person. I've read way too many books on I guess, like whether it's like Glennon Doyle or Michael Singer or anything Oprah related, I've read it. I would really recommend The Untethered Soul. The Year of Magical Thinking by Joan Didion really helped me when I was going through some grief. Gosh, I could just like go over to my little section over there and pull out a bunch of books. But for this book specifically, I think Chicken Soup for the Soul and Post Secret really helped shape it, because I wanted it to sort of be a scrapbook of sorts, where it could kind of be any sort of time you can go and pick a page and it could speak to you. Wow, I'm really, really behind. Thanks, guys. We're old, but still beautiful. Thanks. I'm all alone in this because I can't talk to anybody right now. Can someone tell me if this is lagging? Can you guys tell me right now if this is running behind, or is it just me? I feel like I'm really alone here because there's no one here. Yes, I'm going to answer all these questions in a second, but I just want to make sure that I'm not running. Am I skipping? No. Anybody? Anyone? I'm going to take that as a no. Okay. I'll just keep talking then. So Kat says, congratulations on September letters and on Parachute. Is there anything in particular that helped you to be able to navigate these sorts of difficult topics in both writing and directing process? Yes, thank you, Kat, for your question. My friends definitely helped me. Brene Brown helped me because God knows I wanted to not do it. I was too scared of the rejection of the reviews or people not getting it or liking it, and this is specifically with Parachute. And then you do it anyway. You do it anyway because you know you have to and you should, and there's a burning that makes it unable and impossible to not. So I tried to just fight all of those negative voices in my head that said it was going to be received badly. And my friends backed me up on that, and that was something that was really helpful. Meditation, walking around with my dog, and just being in the moment, that helps, because I'll get really into my head about things, and it's really nice to come back to center and just do the thing that's right in front of you. I think with Parachute specifically, that was really, really important. It's just to do the thing that's right in front of you. And just kind of focus on that, and then everything else sort of builds upon that. Because if you think about things too much, and if it's too all-encompassing and overwhelming, it takes on another perspective and another definition in your mind, and you'll never do anything. It's okay. Everybody's skipping. No, nobody's skipping. Okay, great. Thanks, guys. Aw, thanks, guys. Okay, we're fine. Everybody's fine. Not in Michigan. No, everybody's good. Oh, great. Y'all, perfect. Okay. Oh, shoot. Oh, no, what did I do? Oh, God. Why am I so bad at this? You guys. I lost this thing. I knew this was going to happen. Look. I can't do anything that has to do with technology. I'm sweating. Hold on. Okay. One second. We're back. Okay. Oh my gosh. Perfect. Thank you, guys. Liz says, now that you've successfully acted, written a book, directed, is there anything you want to do that you haven't achieved yet? Oh, wow. That's very nice. Yes, there's so many things. There's so many things that I still want to do in terms of acting, directing, and writing. I definitely want to act in something that I also direct. That's something that I think I want to do next. I also really have big plans for September Letters. I want to turn it into a show, a TV show where people can speak about their stories from all walks of life and all different parts of the world, and really get inside the heads of people who have mental health issues and struggles, And that was something that I needed when I was probably a teenager, is to be able to see girls who didn't look like me, who did look like me, and realize that we are all connected and going through the same thing. So that's something that I definitely want to do. Again, I'm being reminded that you can buy this book, the September Letters book, with the big buy thing that, yeah. Everybody realizes that, yeah, I'm a technology queen. I know. Everybody, you guys, if you come to me, I'll fix your TVs. It'll be great. There will be no book tour in London. Unfortunately, unless I go to London for some reason, and I'll come to your bookstore. Hi, Brittany. This is from Katie. You're an inspiration. Whatever. Thanks. And you're going through the same thing. I'm so sorry, and I totally understand and relate. The best advice you can give. I think there's different things that work for different people. I know for me, what really worked was reaching out for help and going to therapy. I didn't find that all of the things that people wanted me to do in terms of different places to go and different facets always worked for me, but I just kept trying till I found the right thing that worked for myself. I did all sorts of things. I mean, if you named it, I did it. Life coaching, spiritual healers, all these different things. And then I sort of picked from those things what worked. And not all the time did it take a lot of money either. It was taking online classes or going to chat rooms that had the same sort of thing as I did. I think it was just really important to find my community and my people that also shared the same stories and struggles. And to go back to the original thing that I said a long time ago now, one of the very first things that helped me was when I would have a negative thought in my head that was like, you're so stupid, or you're so fat, or you're blah, 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 fill in the blank, especially in my teenage years, I would follow it up with the next sentence, which was, well, maybe that's not true. And although that was really hard for a really long time because I didn't necessarily believe it, over years, I did start to believe it, and I really did retrain my brain to believe that those negative voices were not myself and that the positive voices were more myself. And I think that really started helping me. What advice would you give to, India says, what advice would you give someone who is suffering from mental health but is afraid to ask for help? I would give yourself a lot of grace, because there's a lot of people who don't know how to ask for help, not know how to ask for help, but don't find it to be very easy because of the family that you're in, the community. And my heart goes out to that, because I know that's a lot of my friends actually, and in their past. But I would stress that there are so many different forms of help that you can get anonymously, online. There's meetings on the phone. There's places to go, especially on an online community where you can talk to other people and ask questions. There's hotlines to call. And really, I mean, not to plug like September Letters or anything like that, but I think there's a lot of communities out there where you can read and gain information to just feel more connected, so you can gather the strength and time to be able to ask for help. I think that even reaching out to a friend or a family member is a huge, huge beginning step in making sure that you are just feeling connected and hopeful. And I know for me, that was my dad. I reached out to my dad before anybody, and it just solidified our bond forever because he got me the help that I needed. Hi, Brittany. This is Alana, and I'm 8. Are you on your dad's phone? Oh my gosh, how are you typing so well? You're trying to be an actress, and I really love it. Oh, that's good. Is there any tips you can give me? Just keep going and just keep doing it, because you're probably really great if you love it. If you love it, then I'm sure you're very talented, because that is the majority of what this business is just to keep picking yourself up, regardless of what they say, and keep trying. Can you believe American Dreams was 20 years ago? What advice would you give to that Brittany of 20 years ago if you could today? Oh, Joe, that's like a really good question, because when I was on American Dreams, I was in such a strange headspace. I was 15 to 18, and it was my first TV show that I had ever really been a big part of. Well, I was on a soap opera before that, and but it was my first leading role, and I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I took things very seriously, and I was so consumed with what people thought of me and what I looked like, and I just was really mean to myself. And so I think what I would say to myself 20 years ago is that I needed to just enjoy it more, and to just be a kid and have so much fun and not take life so seriously, because that was going to come. And I think, that's something that I still try to give myself that advice today, to just stop and enjoy things a lot more, because you're never going to get that time back. Okay, okay, we're coming to London. If you want to say we're coming. Eve says, what is your favorite chapter of the book? I think my favorite chapter is, well, I really like the friendship one, because my friends wrote a lot of really great letters. The Bellas are in there from a little movie called Pitch Perfect. They're some of my best friends, and they really supported me in doing this, and so that's been fun. And there's also people in there like Joel McHale and Kid Cudi, and just really great people who are friends of mine that just sounded like I name dropped the most random motley crew of people. But I just was really honored and excited that they wanted to be a part of the book. And I think the friendship chapter is really, really great, because I felt that friendship when they wanted to write letters for me, and they realized the importance of the book. Would you ever do theater? Lindsay asks. Yes, I love theater. Kari asks, do you still read the letters that SL receives? Yes, all the time. Sometimes when I'm feeling a little out of sorts and I'm paying way too much attention to social media or something like that, I do go on the website and I read a lot of the letters, and it's actually really, really eye-opening and humbling to be able to realize that so many people are taking the time and the self-care to write something down. Whether or not someone reads it or not, I just think the self-care and the time and attention it takes to write down your thoughts is something so important for everybody. And so I try to read as many as I can, and it's very helpful for me too. Kids can write too. I know kids can write. I don't know. I didn't think that an 8-year-old would be on here. Mental health podcast recommendations. Yes, lately I've been listening to We Can Do Hard Things. I know it's a little podcast. I'm not even sure if you guys have heard it. It's enormous. But I was listening to that pretty much every day the past couple months. Love a good Super Soul Sunday, Oprah podcast, Diary of a CEO. Love those. Kelly LeVesque is a friend of mine, and she's got a great podcast about health that I really love. Be Well by Kelly. I was going to say like something as a joke, but I shouldn't, because it's mental health. Okay, never mind. Yeah, okay, these are all. Do you have a ritual to write stuff down? Hold on. Oh shoot, sorry. Like lighting a candle, drinking tea. I do actually. I usually need to write someplace. This is a little strange, but I usually need to write someplace that is in the world, because if I'm alone in my house, sometimes I just start cleaning or doing other things. So I usually pick someplace pretty to go, like a park or or someplace like overlooking something, or maybe a cute cafe or something around people. I really like people watching, and I usually bring my journal and I just write for a while, and somehow feeling a part of a place or nature or community helps me write a little bit. I guess you could bring a candle to a park, but I'm sure that no one would recommend that. And it would look really weird to light your own candle at a coffee shop, but wouldn't be the first time, I'm sure. Would you consider making a second September Letters book? Liz H says, yes, I would. I think I definitely would be able to gather more stories and information and experts, and I think so many people have such amazing things to say. So I would love to do another book. I think that would be, if Jasper Guest, my partner in September Letters, doesn't have a heart attack about it, I think we could do it again. Laura asks, what is one of the most, I don't know what that is, most things that you like? Well, my favorite thing about writing the book, I guess, is being able to read all of the letters and being able to talk to people about their own mental health journey and struggles, because it made me realize that so many people have gone through something, whether it's a death or a disease or a physical ailment or illness. Something has changed your trajectory in your life and made you put things in perspective, and it comes in all sorts of different ways. And I think that whether, one person could have a disease and be in a hospital, and then one person could have a mental health struggle, and somehow the strength that it takes to get through both are very connected. And I think that sometimes there's a through line there that I really enjoyed seeing. I'm not going to be in Germany. I will never underestimate an 8-year-old again. What is the most positive effect Charlie has on your mental health? The most positive effect. I'm a big proponent of animals and pets helping mental health, because I think dogs, I can speak for dogs, I've only had dogs, I think they really have life figured out. I mean, they love the sun, they love running around, they don't take anything too seriously, they just love things and food and people, and I think that we can learn a lot from dogs, which I think is why they're not around all forever, because they figured life out, and they're here to teach us how to figure life out. Dog stuff. The Celia St. James question is really funny, because I'm just friends with Taylor, and the amount of hate that I've gotten for this, I would love to be in it, but I don't know who started this rumor. What was it like recording the audiobook for September Letters? Well, it didn't go swimmingly, but I think it's going to be a good book. I think it turned out okay. Thank you. What advice would you give other women going through a divorce? Oh, wow. I actually didn't read that one, and then I read it out loud. Oh, God. You're going to be just fine. That's the advice that I will give you. How much more time do we have? I'm loving this conversation. You know what? It's a really good question, because to be honest, I think I should be done soon. I think that they said 40 minutes and we are about 38 minutes in, 39. I know that I have listened to way too much of myself talk. I got a sunburn in Florida, so I'm also hot, but I'm also sunburned. I usually don't like talking this much, but I've really enjoyed this, you guys, and I have to stress that the September Letters book that is autographed and book plates are available is available right now, and you can buy the book with that little button, and you can read letters, you can listen to experts talk about mental health, gather tools and information to help your mental health, to feel a little bit better about the world around you and create a community, but also to write down your feelings and to share that with someone else. We have a lot of places on our website to send letters to charities and different places that need some sort of form of connection. So a really great exercise would be to write to an elderly home or a charity or a children's hospital, and we give you guys all that information on our website, and you can gather the tools to do that in the September Letters book, and then write a letter so you feel connected to someplace really, really beautiful and special. Well, guys, it's been really fun, and thank you guys so much. Thank you, Laura and Lou and Eve and Jess and Alex and Nicole and Claudia and Christopher and Jeremy and Teresa, Lou, Alexis, Megan. Thank you, Megan, for your comment. That means a lot to me. Yeah, I really, really appreciate this, you guys. I do some things where I think it just goes into a void, and I think no one's ever going to listen to this or read it or see it. And then it's so nice to be able to know that people do and appreciate it, and it makes me feel really honored and nice. So I loved getting to talk to you all, and I hope this was helpful in any way, and I'm sorry if I didn't answer your question. But yeah, buy the book if you would like to, and I appreciate all of you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.